different.
Welcome back, Dippers. I'm Melanie Lawrence.
And I'm Hollee Chanel, and this is Dipped with Sweet and Hot.
Yes, it is. Welcome back to our next episode in our season of Audacity.
Yes, indeedly do.
We're gonna continue. So Holly, we left the people on a little bit of a cliffhanger.
We did.
Last time
We did.
we introduced a new segment called Story Time that we're gonna do at the end of each one of our episodes, where we just introduce you to audacious stories, things that are happening out in the world, and we give you a little time to ponder it.
And give you a little taste, and then we delve in.
And then we're going to delve in. So we're going to delve in, and we're going to share that with you. So you gotta go listen to the previous episode if you didn't quite hear, but we'll play it again for you just in case. But before we do that, we're gonna do Sweet and Hot, but just I'm gonna give you a little bit of a hint. The clip that we played for story time had to do with some issues of consent.
No baby oil.
Did we say that like a disclaimer, right? We gotta
Trigger
say
warning.
Trigger warning. We will let you know in all seriousness. We're gonna say something humorous in our take on things, as we always do. But to be responsible, we do want to let you know that we're gonna be talking about issues of consent.
Absolutely.
In this episode. So
and
on a serious note. Yes. And so on a serious note, we do want to give that trigger warning because we want you, our listeners, to be prepared. So that's going to come in a little bit. But right now, we're going to do what we always do. I love to say that because I love this part of our show, which is Sweet and Hot.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's up? You got something sweet today?
I have something sweet today.
Okay.
So, last week I talked about my mama and her three-way calling habits. Okay. They leave a bit much to be desired. But all that said, my mother is an amazing event producer and promoter and planner.
She's going to try to clean it up a little bit now, y'all.
We're not going to talk about how I got cussed out last episode, but neither here nor there. Okay. But no, legit, my mother is twice retired at this point, and I think she's working on a third career.
Listen, she don't know how to sit down
at all. Okay. But my mother is one of the curators of the Hyde Park Jazz Festival's Back Alley Jazz neighborhood celebrations on the south side of Chicago, so sweet. And my mother's the event that's in her neighborhood was this past Saturday at the time of this recording, and when I tell you over 200 people turned out, nothing but high praise and congratulations. And I was just so proud to be my mother's daughter on Saturday.
Wow.
People would walk up to me and be like, "Holly, what are you doing here?" And I'd be like, "Oh, my mother curated this." And they'd be like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Listen, the apple doesn't fall far."
You got it from somewhere, right?
I got it from somewhere. So that is a super, super sweet thing. Congratulations, mommy. And congratulations to all of the planning teams and coordinating teams for Back Alley Jazz, and shout out to the Hyde Park Jazz Festival in Chicago, Illinois, for keeping the culture alive and keeping the music alive. So I appreciate it.
I heard y'all had a good time. I wish I could have been there. Dippers, I do have South Side of Chicago roots, and I spent a lot of my life on the South Side of Chicago.
She left us.
We did not lie, but I do not live in Chicago.
She deserted me.
And so I wasn't able to attend. I don't live in Chicago anymore, and
she hates me.
You ever seen those skits on IG where it's like, my husband said he doesn't love me and he wants to divorce me, and he's in the background like, I didn't say that. What I said was that you cannot shop online anymore for the next couple of weeks. And then the wife is like, what's the difference?
Same difference.
So now she wants you all to believe that I hate her.
She hates me. She left me. She abandoned me. She deserted me. And love don't live here anymore. Okay.
You ought to know by now. It's a song reference coming. There's always a song reference coming.
Always.
But yeah, I could not attend Back Alley Jazz because I was not in town, as I do not reside in Chicago anymore. But I heard it was a great time, and I do wish I could have been there. That sounds dope.
Thank you.
That sounds dope and very sweet indeed. And I'm glad that you were having a good time in Chicago, because you came to visit me in Atlanta not too long ago, and we together had a very hot experience. Okay. So, like, I'm just gonna share
Jiminy Crickets.
I am hot about the fact that why don't people demand better? Why don't consumers demand better? Okay, so here's the tea of what happened. Hollee was here. This is actually the first night that she got here. A friend of ours, mutual friend who also lives here in Atlanta,
kidnapped us. We got kidnapped.
Came over to visit. We decided we were gonna go get some food. Now, you may know that a lot of people claim this is the land of the wing. Okay, there's a lot of wing places where you can get wings.
Oh, okay.
In Chicago.
Gotcha.
I mean, not in Chicago.
In Atlanta.
See, I don't even know where I am anymore.
Come back, my child.
Was it a Freudian slip?
For sure.
But yeah, so there's a place here in Atlanta, and you know what? I'm gonna say names because we gotta know. Well, there's a place in Atlanta that got recommended to me because I appreciate a good meal. So people who have lived here a long time, I'm always asking, like, what's your favorite restaurant? What's the best place to get this? Best place to get that. So people had recommended that I go get some wings from this place called J.R. Crickets.
Now, me and my ignorance, because I'm upset with them, I started calling them Jiminy Crickets. Anyway, continue.
So we go. First of all, the issues and the rules about parking. If you park on this side, like what I'm fed up about and hot up about, to summarize, is ridiculous rules by businesses that we patron. And when I say we, I mean people in general, but I mean specifically Black people. And then the way that we treat each other as like the businesses treat us as their customers. You can only park on this. If you park on this side of the parking lot, it's free. But if you park on this side of the parking lot, you got to pay $20 for the day, even though it's 7, 8 o'clock at night at that point.
And you only going to be there for 15 minutes, hopefully, grabbing your chicken order.
But then you get inside and you place your order like we did. It's one, they have no cashier. So a business that has respect for its clientele will recognize we can't do business today. The cashier keeps leaving. The line is forming behind us. The cashier keeps leaving because she got to go back in the back and cook, I guess. So she's cooking. She's making drinks. She was like, and I felt, and honestly, I'm not blaming her. Let me be clear. I blame the decision makers and the managers and the owners. I'm not blaming the frontline workers because she was just doing what she was told. But they should have recognized they didn't have enough personnel for that day. So we get up there. She's huffing and puffing because she's stressed out and overwhelmed, understandably. And so we finally get our orders taken. She leaves to go cook, do whatever else, making drinks, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, we end up being there for more than an hour, maybe closer to an hour and a half, 2 hours, waiting for a couple of orders of food, and incrementally. And now I know what you're gonna say. Well, you go to those places, you know how long it takes. The problem for us was not how long it takes. The problem was that we kept being lied to about the status of our order. So at a certain point, we had waited 15 minutes. Some food had come out, the other food hadn't come out. So we were just like, hey, you know, what's up? Oh, it's coming out right now. Hollee, like specifically, we were waiting on a piece of fish. That was part of a fish and chicken combo. We were told for 45 minutes across 3 or 4 different instances that it was coming out. It's coming out right now. Oh, they just dropped it. Oh, it's coming out right now.
No, they never said they just dropped it. They never said this. Oh, it'll be out in a minute. Oh, I don't know how they forgot that. It'll be out in a minute.
An hour later, we still don't have this one piece of fish. And so the problem that I have and what I'm hot about, number one, is the fact that I told you about the staffing issue, and y'all should have recognized that you didn't have it to do business that day. You should have enough respect for your customers to care about their experience when they're in your establishment. So what I really want us to do is raise our standards as business owners, okay? And to care about the experience of the people that are giving you their money for the food that you're cooking or providing or whatever service you're providing. I think that you should care about respecting the people who are literally giving you their money. Number two, I'm hot about the fact that we as customers don't demand better. Because when Hollee and I were upset about this, Hollee in particular tried to have a logical conversation with the workers that got escalated to the manager, explaining basically, if y'all had told me on the front end that it was going to take me an hour to get my fish, I would have told you I'll just take the chicken and you wouldn't have wasted my time on this good here night. But you kept lying to me for an hour saying that my food was on the way out.
And so mind you, it's late at night. So while you're lying, other places where I could have gone and gotten food
are closing.
And
I'm still hungry.
So even if I ask for a refund, I'm still hungry.
Right. We still have the problem that I came here to solve in the beginning was the fact that I was hungry and I wanted some food. And an hour later, not only am I still hungry because I haven't eaten, I'm out of some money, and I'm also out an hour or more of my time and pissed off because you've been lying to me. But I have a beef with the customers as well, because the reason that these businesses do that is because we don't complain and because we accept that kind of a treatment. So while we're in there trying to have Hollee's trying to have a logical conversation with the manager about this is unacceptable. This is not how you treat your customers. This is terrible customer service. The manager's like, oh, well, the line is steady forming behind us. And the reason they're doing that is because people are steady coming through the door. And might I add that the other customers who were in there, who were privy to what was going on because they could hear what was happening, everybody's looking at us like,
what y'all complaining for? Deal? Like legit to the point where when we got in the car after finally getting the food, all of the people we were with were like, you should complain. And I said, I actually don't feel comfortable complaining because I feel like
we meant complaining by like giving a bad Yelp review
or better
like
business
a Google
bureau
review or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't feel comfortable with that. I was like, because clearly everybody in there was okay with how things were running. And what I mean by that is when I'm at the register asking for a refund, and the lady telling me that I can either give her all the food back, which is nuts to me.
First of all, we didn't even have all the food at that point.
So here's the thing though, Melanie. Food service law, once you give the food, if they give it back, you can't serve it again. It's trash.
So give it back for what?
So that was one thing, but literally there were two gentlemen behind me in line. And as she was trying to figure out what to do about me, I heard them say, and I quote, see, the line in here is really long and it's going to take us a while to order our food and it's going to take them even longer to cook it. Do you see how the security guard is packing bags now? Like the two people in line behind me are narrating the dysfunction of this establishment.
But it's not making them get out of line.
And they never got out of line.
They still gonna sit. They're good. They're still gonna be there, and they're still gonna be there. They're still gonna hand over their money. And this is why places like that get away with their poor customer service policies, because
that's
they
not
still
poor.
Feel like
I think we need a more stronger word. Dismal, abysmal, piss poor.
Yeah, like lack thereof.
Like when the security guard and I got a operational problem. When the security guard, who is carrying a weapon and in a bulletproof vest, is not securing the place.
Instead, right, he leaving the door so he can go pack orders in the back.
He going back and forth to the kitchen grabbing tartar sauce and cocktail sauce and
God knows who was walking in there, because we did recognize the characters walking in there. Nobody can do their job.
This is pure dysfunction.
Yeah. I will never go back again, and I don't have a problem saying that publicly, but my larger message is we got to do better.
Black people demand better.
do not, just because something is a policy at a business, that doesn't mean you have to roll over and accept it. Raise your voice when some stuff is not fair and you don't feel treated, and you can do it respectfully. I'm not saying make a scene, because we weren't trying to make a scene. We were trying to have a respectful conversation, but they need to hear back, because that's the only way that things will get better and you don't end up feeling disrespected on top of being out some money. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wait. I'm sorry. Gotta say, the food was mid.
Man, at best.
At best.
Now
wasn't even worth the wait.
Maybe we can blame that on the lack of staffing that night there too. Maybe the normal cooks weren't in the kitchen, but I really was like, is it why I was trying to figure out why it was so recommended, because it was not anything. It wasn't worth the wait. About.
It wasn't worth the money. It wasn't
worth any of it.
It wasn't worth
the headache. It wasn't worth any of it. So
I could have went to Popeyes. You were saying,
man, if it hadn't been closed by the time we got out, that was an option that we could have done with that hour and a half that we were in there. Anyway, so yeah,
that's why you're hot.
I'm hot about people taking my business and my money for granted because I work too damn hard. Whoo!
How do you feel, friend?
I feel like I got my pressure up a little bit.
Okay.
We're going to come back down so we can talk about consent.
Oh.
Because that's what we said we were going to talk about.
Because I did not consent to that terrible.
Well, I did not consent to that experience, but it was forced upon me. So we're about to get into it. But Hollee, I think you need to set this one up a little bit and tell the people like what they're about to hear.
Oh, yeah. So as we said last episode, this is a gentleman on a panel discussion talking about an encounter and an interaction that he had with his daughter that centers around consent. So here we go.
I would always try to hug and kiss her. She kind of pushed me away. Like, it's all good. You know what I mean? It was then it kind of became a joke for a few years. And then, she got a little bit older. And so one day, I asked her, I said, hey, we good? She's like, yeah. Why would you ask me that? I said, well, every time, dad tries to give you a hug, kiss you on the cheek or whatever, you're always pushing me away. And she looked at me and she said, and she was a little bit more developed than girls her age. And she looked at me and she said, because you are the only man that when I tell you not to touch me and stop, you do it. Because when I go to school and the boys touch me and they grab me and I tell them to stop, they think it's a joke. And they won't stop. But I know if I tell you to stop, you'll stop. So it wasn't that she didn't want me to. It was the fact that she found peace and solace in the fact that this is a man, the first man in my life, that when I tell him not to touch me, he actually listens to me. And it broke my heart. But it let me know what kind of privilege that I have, right? And then I start researching because now my heart is wide open. Yeah. So now I'm talking to my mom. I'm telling her the story. She said, son, the stuff I had to endure, that's just what women had to deal with. And I'm like, what you talking about, right?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about consent. I have so many thoughts running through my head.
I have a lot of thoughts too, but I also want to provide a bit of context here too.
Okay.
Consent has come up is the basis of the Diddy trial and specifically his relationship with Cassie and these freak offs, right? What it boiled down to for me is because what I couldn't get my mind around was people blaming the victim, right? And they saying, well, she knew what was going on and she knew what it was going to be about and she knew and she participated, this, that, and the third. And don't we reserve the right to change our minds? Don't
like
we?
Isn't consent revocable?
Yes. Like, and what's crazy to me is that that's a question. Like, why is that a question?
As opposed to something that's just understood.
There's something that's just understood. Like, I just don't understand how people reserve the right to change their mind until it's inconvenient to what your goals are.
Oh, okay. Or that they reserve the right. You can respect the right, someone's right to change their mind in other situations, but not in a sexual situation.
Exactly.
Right? So if I decide, if I order the steak and I say, you know what, if you haven't put that in yet, I actually would like the chicken. Like, you know what I mean? And like generally the server's gonna be like, okay, let me go hurry up and let the kitchen know. Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think people forget that humans reserve that same right in interactions with one another.
I think there's a disconnect too, because we all did see that horrible video about what happened in that hotel lobby. But there's a disconnect between that situation of a physical assault and what was happening behind closed doors in these sexual situations, in these freak offs that people are saying she willingly showed up to. Right. So like we're witnessing in the publicized video a woman trying to escape, getting caught in the hallway and getting beat down. Right. But on the other hand, when we're talking about these freak offs, for some people it gets grayer because they're like, she allegedly reached out from some time to time, like, hey, I want to participate. Like, hey, I want to come to the freak off. I want to be there.
Absolutely.
And she gets there. But what you're talking about is the idea that once she gets there, it is still within her right at any point during the night and the goings on of the night or the day or whatever time it was happening for her to say, you know what, I know I said I wanted to come, but this right here that's happening right now.
I need you to use different terminology, but go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm still juvenile, but to the
it took me a second too. I was like, what are you talking about?
But no,
there's a moment.
I wanted to attend
yeah.
it. And I wanted to be.
I know I said that I wanted to be here.
Yeah.
But in the midst of what's going on right now, I'm actually not okay with this activity that's happening right now. Or I actually don't want to participate in this. And the fact that that is in her right. It is in her right to change her mind.
Yep.
Consent is revocable at any point.
Absolutely.
To be able to say, hey, no, actually, I changed my mind. And if that is not respected,
that's a criminal offense.
That's a criminal offense. And things that have gone on without her consent. Now we're having this conversation post Diddy trial.
Absolutely.
And so we all know that he was not convicted
he
on
was
those charges.
Well, no, he was not guilty on racketeering conspiracy. He was not guilty on both counts of sex trafficking, but he was guilty on both counts of transporting individuals for prostitution.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that.
No problem.
I think one thing that this trial did was ignite a lot of conversations around consent, and it was very illuminating to see how some people interpreted that and what they felt like were the boundaries of consent or not, and whether or not it's revocable, like you said. And if I bring it back to the clip that we were talking about, that we play at the beginning of the episode, we're talking about not even a full-on sexual assault, but we're talking about a young, presumably preteen, teenage girl, or just growing up into those years, a young girl's experience of having her body be disrespected and touched without her consent. And dare I say, just like that gentleman said, his mother told him when he had the conversation with her, that's something that most of us have personal experience with.
100%.
I have experiences about people touching me without my consent. You, dare I say, have experiences of people touching you without your consent. And I think we gloss over it so much.
Well, I was taught to suck it up. I was taught that it was par for the course, that that's what men do.
That's what boys do.
That's what
they
boys
start
do.
as boys.
Yeah, that's what boys do. And you can swat them away, but that's
boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys.
That was the narrative.
And the onus is 100
on me.
It's 100% on the young woman
to try to discourage that in some way.
To discourage that kind of attention. I can't tell you how many times in my youth girls would end up in SA situations and they'd be like, well, what did she do? What did she have
What was she wearing?
What was she wearing? Well, what did she say? Well, when you fast like that, hold the hell on. Nothing that I wear, nothing that I say, nothing that I do should give anyone the right to assume any kind of physical contact that I have not given express consent for.
And what does it say about our society that was this young girl's experience?
Yep.
That however old she wasn't an adult. And she already had so much experience in life that she didn't even want her very own father. She felt like that was the only place that she could exercise her voice to say no, and it was actually respected. She had been touched against her consent many times.
Yep.
That she will refuse affection from her father, to his confusion.
The one person who arguably would protect her from all of this, right? Yeah.
If he could. But what does it say? To me, what I would like to say is, what does it say about what we're teaching our boys? For those of you who are listening to me, who have influence over boys, young boys, growing boys in your lives, whether that means that you have them as children, whether that means that you're a teacher, and whether are you a Boy Scout leader, are you a coach on a sports team? What is it that we are teaching our boys? The reason that they feel like it is okay to touch other people, girls and women specifically, without their permission. And I mean that as a real question. What are you teaching your sons? Because like you, Hollee, so much of the conversation is about how the girl reacts in that situation. Well, what did you do when he touched you? Well, what did you say when he touched? And I'm not saying that we shouldn't hear me. I'm not saying that we should not equip our daughters for how to respond in those situations.
Absolutely.
Because we absolutely should. What I'm saying is the conversation should go to both the girls and the boys. We shouldn't just be sitting down talking to our girls about how to respond in situations when they're vulnerable and being disrespected. We should talk about to our boys about not disrespecting and violating consent in the first place.
So here's what's interesting to me, and you're absolutely right. What's interesting to me is that from what I have heard about these freak-offs and these encounters, these regular encounters that Diddy was having, in my mind, I kind of equated it to kind of like BDSM culture or kink culture. BDSM stands for bondage, dominance, and sadomasochism. I do believe. I might have that wrong, but I do believe I'm basically correct for most of them. But one of the core tenets of BDSM is consent. And it's because you're dealing in some things that may cause pain, some things that may be highly emotionally triggering, right? And so at every turn throughout the encounter, both or all of the parties involved are asking the question, is this okay? Or is this all right? And there are safe words.
Yeah.
There are safe words.
So if there may be people listening that don't understand what a safe word is.
So I will explain. So typically a safe word is like your get out of jail free card, right? So if you are doing something, and this is again within a sexual context, if you're doing something within a sexual context and it doesn't feel good or it hurts or you want to stop, you can give a safe word, a previously agreed upon word, or some kind of signal again, previously agreed upon with all parties involved in this encounter to say stop. And when that safe word is given, it is a hard stop on all activity. I don't care what is located in who or what.
It's a stop.
It's
Full stop.
It is a hard stop.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing it right. And so, I took issue with a lot of the judgment that I saw coming Cassie's way, because it was like, well, if you know that's what's going on, then why would you show up? Hey, I'm not getting ready to judge her kink. Maybe she likes to get choke slapped and pulled her hair. Who are me to judge what gets her rocks off? But at the point that people are choking, slapping, and pulling her hair to where it makes her feel uncomfortable, she reserves the right to say stop.
And let's be clear here. Was it part of, because I just want to make sure that we're speaking like factually.
Yeah.
Was it part of her testimony that there were times when she said stop, or when she said no, or otherwise expressed that she was not consenting, that she was no longer consenting, that her request to stop was ignored?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay.
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay.
But then the prosecution would come back, or I'm sorry, the defense would come back and be like, so then why'd you go back the third time? Or why did you contact Diddy to go to another freak off? Because there were text messages that said, hey, I want to do this again.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. So being completely honest, is that something that Hollee would have done? If I had this terrible sexual experience with this guy in this group setting and then decided that, like, in the moment I didn't want to do that no more, would I call him again and say, I think I want to try this again? Is that something Hollee would do? Likely no. I would not do. But I'm not getting ready to judge the girl who does.
Well, and that's also not the question. Like, and I think that's where we get a little lost.
Thank you.
Like, I understand exactly what you're saying. And I understand, let me be clear. I understand why people will may sit back and judge and say, it doesn't make sense that if something is happening on Tuesday, you get there, you don't like it, you say, hey, I don't want to be a part of this, you leave. Why would you text back on Thursday to that same person and say, hey, can I come back to this same or very similar situation on Thursday? I get that. Mm-hmm. I hear how that feels, like you said, Hollee, like something that a lot of people might not do. Like, why would you re-enter that situation? Mm-hmm. Legally and morally. While you may not understand someone's choice to re-enter that situation, the idea of consent, regardless of how or why or when she was there, it's always revocable. She can always change her mind. To everyone's frustration, to everyone's confusion about why she was there again in the first place. And I'm acknowledging that I'm sure there was frustration, confusion, questions about why are you here. None of that negates her right to say no.
None of it.
She can still say no.
She can still say no.
At any point. Consent is revocable. And it's not just about Cassie. Like, we're lifting that up as an example.
100%.
But as individual people, you can say no.
Absolutely.
You can change your mind in a situation. Consent is irrevocable. I don't know another way to say it. Like, it is something.
You can give it, you can give your consent, and you can take it away.
At any point.
It is at any point. It is yours and yours alone to wield and distribute at your leisure.
Right. And so therein lies the crime against humanity, the audacity. We're talking about audacity.
Yep.
And the reason we decided to do an episode about consent is the audacity to feel like you can override or revoke someone else's consent for them.
And then abuse me for it.
The audacity to feel like you can tell me what to do and ignore the fact that I no longer consent to this. That takes some real audacity.
Mm-hmm.
That takes some real, and not the good kind, to be able to say, you know what, I hear you saying no, but I'm gonna decide that really means
that's
yes.
not what you meant.
I'm gonna decide that really means yes. Or maybe you really do mean no, and I don't care about the fact that you're saying no. It doesn't matter to me whether you mean yes or no, because I'm in the middle of doing what I'm in the middle of doing, and I want to continue doing it. So I don't care whether or not you consent. The audacity.
Also, I would like to bring up something that I think should happen a lot more in interpersonal relationships, and it's negotiation. One of the reasons why I like polyamory and BDSM culture is because it hinges on transparency. It hinges on open, honest, and trustworthy communication if you're doing it right. And so what I'm getting at here is that in addition to consent, in addition to safe words, there's also a step that people miss in the process, which is a pre-planning or a negotiation. And that's where you give your hard limits. That's where you say, no, I don't want any bodily fluids, no urine, no fecal matter in my sex play. I don't want to do food, or I love food. There's
boundaries.
There are
and guidelines.
Boundaries and guidelines, but like we can Google this. There are documents that you can print that have like 60 pages of every sexual kink that you could think of. And there's boxes next to it. Check if that's a hard limit, like a hard no, or something that you're curious about, or something that you don't mind doing with another partner. But I say all that to say is that, this isn't something that, in my opinion, should only exist in kink culture. It shouldn't only exist in situations where the stakes are a little bit heightened, rather more so than vanilla sex, as it is termed. I think negotiations are paramount to any, especially in encounters where you are in your most vulnerable state, i.e. naked, i.e. sexually aroused. You know what I mean? I think negotiations are a missed step in a lot of interpersonal relationships that could solve a lot of problems, so that you don't end up, I'm sorry, let me connect the dot. The negotiation happens so that you're actually being proactive about avoiding those hard limits.
Right. Well, what you're saying is negotiating. When you're using the word negotiating, but what I'm hearing is just like a mutual communication about boundaries.
It's actually called negotiation in BDSM culture, though.
Okay.
But yeah, so but yes, to your point,
it is essentially a communication about boundary. It is a communication about the boundaries of our engagement, so that we're all clear, all parties are clear before we get to start doing anything.
100%. And that's why I like it. That's why I like it. And I actually, regardless of what the nature of the relationship is, I don't care how vanilla it is, I don't care how kinky it is. What are
talk
we
about it talk about what's okay, because I'm gonna go here. There are some people in monogamous relationships where it's just two people and they're having, quote unquote, as you like to call it, the way that you just sips water. Okay. You already know where I'm going, but like, there are people having, as you like to call it, vanilla sex, who have not had these conversations, this negotiation, as you termed it, or this communication about what's okay, what's not okay, and get into these situations with just one person. This doesn't have to be a big freak off situation. They get into sexual situations with one person, and some things are done or said that actually cross a boundary for them, but it wasn't pre-communicated. And now we got into gray area, and how am I going to respond in the moment? And do we talk about it afterwards? How do I process the trauma of what just happened to me if it was traumatic? And the other person maybe doesn't know that it wasn't that it was traumatic, or there's just a lot. There's a lot of room there. And so I understand what you're saying about the value of like having these conversations ahead of time. Like, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is what is absolutely off the table. You know, that kind of thing.
I wish somebody would put some fecal matter around me. Melanie, if you be like, oh, why is Hollee in jail? You'd be like, you know what? I know the answer. That would do it. That would do it.
That's a hard no for you.
That's a hard no.
And for me as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a society, and I certainly as an individual girl who became a woman, could have benefited from a broader education about this. Like this idea of consent. I can think of countless times where someone touched me on a certain part of my body. It was that was sexually charged, right? Mm-hmm. Like that I didn't ask for that, neither did I say it was okay. And I told you to stop, and you still did it again, especially as kids when boys are discovering that you know, if they're heterosexual, they're discovering that they like girls, like, you know what I mean, and vice versa, and touching and all of that stuff. But let me tell you something. I had an experience as an adult. So I was in a situation with a guy that I was dating. I had known him for years before there was ever anything in between. And I say that to say, not that it matters, but for those of you who have questions, this was not a stranger that I had invited back to my house.
It can be anybody.
This was someone that I had known for years, and we had not been involved. And then he approached me. We decided we would go out on a date. We were hanging out, and I felt comfortable in letting him come into my apartment at the time. Okay. So we're in my apartment at the time. Everything is fine. We start kissing. The kissing started getting a little escalated, and it was going to a place. He was going to a place that I didn't want to go.
Okay.
At that moment. And so I remember stopping and saying and expressing such. And I either said no, or I said, you know, let's stop. You know, let's calm down. Let's calm down. Cause I see what you on.
Put that thing away.
I see what you on.
Put it away.
That's not on my agenda for tonight. And do you know what he said to me?
What did he say?
Not only did he not stop, but he said, it's too late for no.
No, ma'am. Is he still alive?
He is still alive, because he did stop after that.
Oh,
but he said, but he stopped. His first response was to A, keep going. B, while he continued to tell me it's too late for no. And he said it with a straight face. He said, it's too late for no. At which point I responded and took a different tone and said, no, for real.
No. Why we gotta do that?
And I had to, and that's my point. My point is that he only stopped the second time. And I'm glad that he did stop, because here's the thing, and here's our fear as women, right? We're always told not to provoke. Here I am in a vulnerable situation with a man who, if he chose to, could have overpowered me. And here I am behind closed doors with someone that I trusted in this very vulnerable situation. And I have said no. And it was only until I literally pushed him away, looked at him dead in his face, and took a much more serious tone that he decided to respect my wishes. That first no, my point is that first no wasn't enough. that first no was not enough. And there's a problem with that.
There's a problem with that.
There's a problem with the fact that my first no was not enough. I want to be very clear that he did stop after that second time. And that was the end of it. But why did it take that?
It shouldn't have.
Why did it take that? And this is what I'm saying. We have to be careful and intentional about what we're teaching our children about consent and about respecting the boundaries of another person and their body.
And let's be clear. She said children. This
boys
is
and girls.
This is boys, girls, non-binary,
everything in between,
and everybody in between.
Human beings.
If you are a human, you need to respect other people's boundaries.
The audacity to say, do you know the audacity to say it's too late for no?
No, the one that gets me too is the one to be like, you know, you want it. Who the hell are you to tell me what the hell it is I want? What?
Audacity.
The nerve. The unmitigated gall. Are you kidding me? I said what I said.
And I'm going to tell you, teach your kids to stay out of hot water, because you can sit back here and argue with me all day about, well, you shouldn't have put yourself in that situation in the first place, or the girl should have done this or should have done that. What you don't want is a he said, she said situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
So it would behoove everybody to have a clear understanding about what is consent.
All I can say, understand what consent is the first step. 2, honor it. It's really 2 steps. That's it. Understand what it is. Understand what it means to honor it.
I would insert a step in between.
Okay.
Say communicate it.
And communicate 100%.
Communicate about it.
Yes.
Because on the flip side, we have to understand where each other are. So and there needs to be some communication about it.
And you know what? I will say this. One thing about this Cassie trial, or the Cassie's testimony and the Diddy trial, that we cannot overlook is the power dynamic.
Sure.
And the fact that he held her career in his hands.
The whole thing about, that's part of the burden of proving sexual harassment in a workplace. Like, who was the boss?
Who had
the hiring and firing capability?
And what I want to say to anyone who is a victim inside of a power dynamic, take back your power. You can say no. It may cost you what you think you want most. It might cost you the career that you think he is the only person that has the ability to facilitate for you. But stay true to yourself. Stay true to your wants and needs, and everything else will follow. That's the best advice that I can give. Because what is a career if in the graveyard of that career is all that hurt? And all of that
also
pain.
that you end up carrying around.
Yeah.
Like, am a big proponent of therapy.
Of course.
And one of the conversations that my therapist and I had was about the power of, like, the messages that you send to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the self-talk, and, like, understanding that, like, what am I saying to myself about myself when I allow someone else to talk to me that way, or to cross this boundary and not standing up for myself, and just realizing it's not harmless. Because what are you saying to yourself about your own self-worth and your own self-value?
Your voice has value. And if I were to put a button on this, be audacious with your consent. Be audacious, be courageous with your consent. It is yours.
And I would like to say also, I just want to share this as a potential resource. You know, I know we gave a trigger warning at the beginning of this episode that we were going to be talking about issues of consent and sexual assault. And we are aware that we may be this podcast may be falling on the ears of people who are in situations where they may need help. So I just want to share as a resource the number to the National Sex Assault Hotline. There is a hotline. There is help available. There is free. That is free, and it is available 24 hours a day. So if you feel like you've been in a situation where you need some help, you can call 1-800-656-4673. And there's also a website, I believe, with a chat feature. Awesome. If it's not a live vocal conversation that you want to have. So I just wanted to put that out there. The audacity for us to broach this subject.
Oof. But speaking of audacity,
we're gonna lighten it up just a little bit with our story time.
Just a little bit with story time. Melanie found a doozy out here. And again, to our previous conversation, I need for women in situations that make them feel uncomfortable to have the kind of audacity that this man has. I need you to have this on it.
Yeah, the audacity is off the charts. So in this particular clip, what you're about to see is this is an online dating show. Some of you may have seen this episode that's hosted by Kendra G. So shout out to Kendra G.
Hey, what's up, Kendra? How you doing?
She has got a very entertaining dating show that happens online. And I came across this clip from her show. Everybody channel this kind of audacity for good cause out in the world. So this gentleman was on her show, and this is the conversation that happened between Kendra G and this single man who called into her show who wanted her help finding a potential match.
Should she look a certain way?
Well, I work out. I'm not super fit. I work out. I'm not physically super 100%, like in that that super chiseled frame, but I really don't want something that's super, super heavy. I just don't like super heavy because I can't lift you up. If I can't lift you up, I'm not really making your day. Yeah, Kendra, I don't want something I can't lift up. I mean, for real. I'm cheating them out of a good time. At least be about 175 or lower. And then we can have a good time. Is that too much to ask for?
So weigh as much as one of your arms.
Okay, I got... Shout out to Kendra G for the clap back, though. She's like, so as much as one of your arms. The audacity.
When I tell you, I laughed, I hollered for a long time. But
you know what? My name is Hollee Chanel.
And I'm Melanie Lauren. Tune into our next episode to get the rest of it. This is Dip with Sweet and Hot.
We will see y'all next time. The unmitigated golf.